Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special. Hi everyone, hope you're well. My name is Chris Cowlin, and today I'll be joined by Craig Dearman. We'll be going through all of the transfer rumours and reports. This is another episode of the Daily Tottenham Transfer News Show. We're live on YouTube, live on X and Facebook. Please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Spurs fan. What did you make of the 2-2 draw at Burnley? And what have you made of the transfer window so far? Now, if you are watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, press the like button, comment below, turn on that notification bell so YouTube informs you every single time we upload a video and go live. Now, it is day 25 of this winter window. There is now just 8 days remaining, not long to go. Of course, it closes on the 2nd of Feb, 7 p.m. Of course, we've got 2 confirmed signings over the line so far, and hopefully there's going to be more. Craig, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. Interesting day again yesterday, wasn't it? Which I no doubt we'll talk about. But yeah, 8 days left of the window. Wow. I mean, how quick has it gone? You know, 8 days. Next Monday. Wow. Yep. TikTok, yep. TikTok.
Indeed. Right, let's start by talking about a statement from Fabrizio Romano. He has stated negotiations between Tottenham and Liverpool for Andy Robertson deal are still ongoing. After opening proposal sent on Friday, the two clubs remain in talks over the fee. Now, we know, Craig, from the last couple of days since Friday, that Spurs have offered £3 million. We don't yet know whether Liverpool have actually accepted this offer or that they want more or what's going to happen here. But Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk has spoken about this proposed move for Andy Robertson to Tottenham. He said, "He is my vice captain. Robbo is a very important member of our team and I want him to stay. But whatever happens, let's see." What do you make of this statement? Because if your captain is saying he is a very important player, he doesn't want him to leave. You know, of course, they played Bournemouth at the weekend. Apparently, he played well. I haven't seen the game because I've been here, there and everywhere this weekend. Just got back from Liverpool. And, yeah, what do you make of this statement from Virgil van Dijk and the statement from Fabrizio Romano? Do you see this one actually getting over the line?
If you'd asked me Friday, which of course you did, and we spoke about it, I could see it happening. But I'd have thought it would have moved on a bit more over the weekend, to be honest. A bit disappointed it hasn't. Interesting, the Virgil van Dijk comments. I've been going back to him. I think he came on a substitute actually in that game, and he was actually one of the better players on the park for Liverpool anyway.
Yeah, should have said that, yeah.
He's obviously an important player. He's an important player around the dressing room as well. Virgil van Dijk clearly wants him to stay. Oh, that is a very good comment in the chat there. Somebody said he's hardly likely to come out and say we want him to leave. That is a good point, but he didn't need to say what he did, probably, did he? He could have just said, "Oh well, whatever will be." But he's clear that he wants him to stay. So will that sway Liverpool? I don't know. I mean, Liverpool, are they a club that desperately need the money? 3 million? We've offered 3 million. Is that a bit low ball for the player, even though his contract expires in the summer? I don't know. It seems incredibly low, doesn't it, for the Scotland captain, somebody who's been an important part of the Liverpool squad? Does seem quite low, but who knows? And where do I think this one's going to go? I don't know now. I was actually quite confident it was going to happen over the weekend, actually. Friday when the news broke. or Thursday night. I just thought that was going to be a pretty quick deal. It seemed to, in fact, I think Fabrizio Romano used the words, it was moving quickly. So I was expecting perhaps Saturday we get a here we go. We haven't. So let's see what happens. But perhaps Liverpool decide they want to keep him at the club till the summer, and then we're back to square one.
For the sake of £3 million, if this player could help Liverpool get a Champions League spot, because of course I think it's very fair to say that their season has been very up and down so far, and even some Liverpool fans are calling for Slot to be sacked after he won them the Premier League back in May. You know, just what's that, 7 months or so ago. It's crazy, really. It's the way football is now, and no one's got any patience with anything. But do you let your vice captain leave? You know, a real leader on and off the pitch. Do you let your vice captain leave? A very important player for them, a leader in that dressing room as well. Do you let a player like that leave in a January window? You know, being realistic.
Oh, I think that's a very valid point, and it would be an odd decision to do that. Liverpool, as you say, they're not the Liverpool of last year, so. If it helps them, I mean, it's going to be incredibly important to Liverpool to get Champions League football next season. So if Andy Robertson helps you achieve that, and in my opinion, he will do, obviously Liverpool trying to go in different directions with their fullbacks now. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. £3 million. It's a lot of money to me and you, but it's not a lot of money to Liverpool, is it? It's not going to be about the money. It's about moving players out and getting new players in. But I could quite easily see him staying at Liverpool for the rest of the season, Chris, to be honest with you. And he's left back an area where are they focusing all their efforts in trying to get Andy Robertson in when we should really be focusing on other areas of the pitch? That's what I would say.
There's another one here. This one is from Team Talk, also Give Me Sport. They're both stating that Tottenham are long-term admirers of Juventus striker Dusan Vlahovic, and his representatives are constantly holding talks with the North London club. Now, Craig, this is a report that I feel like I've read out over multiple years, multiple transfer windows. You know, will Spurs ever finally sign Vlahovic and he will become a Tottenham Hotspur player? I've said before, whenever I've seen him play, yes, he can score goals. You know, with his left foot, right foot, his head, physicality is a real big plus for him. Physicality is a word that Thomas Frank uses a lot. Can we do more or have more in that final third? Absolutely. Do we need another striker? Absolutely. The report states here that Spurs could be in the market for a new striker in the coming months. So they don't say whether it's going to be this window or the summer window. This is a very general report about Tottenham's interest in the Juventus striker. But they do state here Tottenham have been in regular contact with the representatives of the striker, and the Serbian striker who has been described as one of Europe's elite number 9s. What do you think?
I wouldn't say he's an elite number 9, really. And it's amazing, like you say, we've been linked with Vlahovic for, 4 years, probably? Just after COVID, and it just like bonkers. If we did want him, why didn't we go and get him? How old is he now, Chris? Does it say the report how old Vlahovic is?
He's 25. And I know that's probably quite surprising because the amount of years that we've been talking about him on this channel, you'd probably think he's 35 by now. But it says here also, a move in the January window might appear unlikely simply because the player is currently out injured. The 25-year-old has been out since the end of November, not expected to return to action until the beginning of March. So a move in the summer window is more likely.
Well, what's the point then? There's no absolute point, is there? If he's, there's a new player to the Premier League as well. Like, when United signed Benjamin Šeško, I was a bit jealous of that because I thought Šeško, I was one of his supporters, definitely from what I've seen. Yet he hasn't really done tons, has he? So could Vlahovic be similar to a Šeško, There's a bit of a risk with bringing in anybody, especially from abroad that have not played in the Premier League, but now you say he's injured till March. It's not going to help us in February, is it, when we've got that tough run of fixtures? So perhaps, if they're going to look at it, it's one to look at in the summer and readdress and the situation. I am not convinced we're going to be spending tons of money this window anyway, because I still think there's going to be, I'm sure we'll come on to it, the whole Thomas Frank situation. You're buying in a striker for Thomas Frank when he might not be there. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if the club don't make any other signings this window, to be honest, sadly.
But we have to go big in the summer. Have to.
100% in the summer. I'm not, 8 days left. I'm just, usually there's some rumours. I know obviously the Gallagher came out of nowhere, and even the Robertson deal came out of nowhere. But we need players now. That's a ridiculous thing. We need them. Yet there's nothing really rumours wise, is there? It's just familiar names that have been bandied around all transfer window already. So yeah, it's a bit of a sorry state of affairs, really.
Well, you've mentioned it twice, so we're going to go straight into talk about Thomas Frank. 2 wins in our last 14 Premier League games. Based on the last 14 games, Spurs would be in the relegation zone. We would be 3rd from bottom. Only 2 sides, and that is Burnley and Wolves, have gained less points than Tottenham in our last 15 Premier League matches. Of every Spurs manager to get the Tottenham job permanently since ENIC bought the club, Thomas Frank has the worst points per game ratio, 1.32 points per game. Thomas Frank softened the pressure on him by beating Dortmund, but after the Burnley result, his job is back at risk. That is a statement from Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano. Frank said, "I don't think it was a bad performance against Burnley. It was maybe not the result we hoped for." Now, Thomas Frank on the fans booing him a number of times during his time at Tottenham. He said, "I want to thank them for the travelling support and the team throughout the game, supporting them. I'm sure that they can recognise and acknowledge, especially in the first half, and the improvement that we have made there, and could and should have put it out of sight, but also acknowledge the willpower and character of the team that keeps running, keeps fighting to the end." I'll also add, Craig, what I witnessed at Turf Moor on Saturday, boos at the final whistle again. And it was very clear again, it wasn't for the players, it was just for the manager. When the manager came over to the away end after the game, come over quite boldly again. I tell you what, he's got some balls to do this. He's done this a number of times now, and the boos just got louder, and the chants got louder as well. You're getting sacked in the morning. This was a chant again at the end of the game, and it was also during the game as well. Many times, "We want Frank out." Many times as well, "Thomas Frank, your football is shit," was another one. And then 3 times I counted, some of the Spurs fan base, not all, but some, were singing his magic, Mauricio Pochettino. But the atmosphere in that away end, a lot of people were extremely unhappy again with Thomas Frank. And I'm not sure, Craig. I don't think I've ever seen a manager be targeted in this way, and so I don't know whether hated is the right word. I think that's a bit strong. But some of the chants yesterday, and some people, really going for it and swearing and shouting towards the manager when he was walking off the pitch during the game as well. The fact that the fan base singing Mauricio Pochettino's name, I think that says a lot as well, because of course there are a lot of disappointed people when he got the sack in November 2019, and as we've said on this channel so many times, going through multiple different managers, 6 managers at the stadium since we moved there in 2019. How does somebody carry on, and how does somebody turn this mood around and win the Spurs fans back? Because the other thing that I will add before you come in is that we've got Frankfurt on Wednesday. That's a very, very important game to win, because we don't want to be playing this playoff game, 2 games in Feb, 1 being at home, 1 being away. So if we do win, we're straight through. And then the 4 Premier League games in Feb, very, very difficult. 3 out of the 4 at home. So on Saturday, it's Manchester City at home. Then it's Manchester United away. Then it's Newcastle at home and Arsenal at home. 4 extremely difficult games. How does Thomas Frank turn this around?
Or can you ask me? I would say, can you ask me one on sport? But you have asked me one on sport, effectively. I just think he's gone past that point. I make you right. I mean, we've all had discussions in our group chats and that I can't remember a time, and admittedly, back in the 90s, there was no social media and WhatsApp groups, but I just can't remember a time where a whole fan base has been united against a manager like this. Not like this. This just feels completely different. I just think whatever he does, he's going to get criticism, really. And I just think it's gone past the point of no return for him. And it is sad in a way because nobody wanted go through another manager. But I just think where they're being so stubborn and sticking with Frank now, I just think we're going down the wrong path, sticking with Thomas Frank. I think they just need to let him go now. I get the logic and saying there's nobody out there. You've heard rumours that there's nobody out there that could even act as an interim that would do any better. I disagree with that. I'm sure there are people that would give the manager better. Look at Michael Carrick, what he's done at Manchester United in just 2 games. You know, it could be a new manager bounce, but come on, look at the result they've got today. Look how they've been playing with a bit more freedom and the players just seem to be enjoying their football, which I think our players don't look like they're enjoying their football at the moment. And I think a new manager can do that, even if it is an interim that just goes out there and says, look, lads, go out there and enjoy it. Play with a smile on your face. And they just don't look like they're enjoying it, any of them. They look miserable as sin. And of course they are, because we're losing games, we're drawing games, we're conceding goals. So sadly, in answer to your question, I don't think Thomas Frank can turn it around. Well, ultimately, if he wins the next 5 games, we go unbeaten in February and beat all those 4 teams in the Premier League and get through to the Champions League, then people might turn around. But you can't see that happening, sadly. So I would, this is just my opinion, but I would say to Vinay and the board, listen to your fan base. The previous incumbent, if that's even the right word, Daniel Levy, said many times they're just the custodians of this club. Well, listen to the people that go every week, that watch the team, that follow the team. The majority of the fan base want the manager out of post. And I don't say that lightly. I don't even like to talk about it, but that's what we do. We do talk about these things. Listen to what the fans are saying. Listen to what the fans are saying, please. And just do the tough thing, admittedly, but it's the right thing for Tottenham Hotspur. And how often are all the fans, or majority of the fans, wrong? Not very often, in my opinion.
The other chant that I forgot, actually, Craig, it was sung quite a few times, sideways and backwards, everywhere we go. And Burnley even said, champions of Europe, you're having a laugh. And then they were saying, how bad must you be? We're winning at home. And then the Spurs fan base replied and said, you're nothing special. We lose every week. And I know this is all banter, but there is some truth in this. And some of our results lately have been, terrible. Losing at home against West Ham last weekend. And then, of course, a 2-2 draw, very nearly a defeat at Turf Moor. And, we use these terms, Dr. Tottenham and Spursy, which we absolutely hate. But honestly, it's like, where on earth do we go from here? Because when you're looking at the league table, we have been saying, or certainly I'm guilty of this, I've always said in all of these intros, in all of these streams that we record, I always say Spurs are X points away from the top 5, Champions League spots, etc., etc. And now people are getting frustrated with me saying this, because we're now looking behind us. West Ham in the last 2 games, of course, they beat us last weekend. They beat Sunderland on Saturday as well. They've gained 5 points on us over, this last week. Nottingham Forest, of course, got a great result today as well. And we are now looking behind us. And, some people will mention that word relegation. And I think that some of the fan base are kind of laughing it off, going, don't be silly. We're not going to get relegated. But when you look, factually at some of the results and the way that some of these other teams behind us or below us are performing, and we have this run, this very, very difficult run that I've just read out, are you worried?
I'm concerned, and I never thought I'd be here again to even think that. And I didn't think it last season, even though we finished 17th. I didn't think for 1 second we get relegated because the 3 teams below us. This year is a little bit different. I think the bottom two are gone no matter what. But like you say, that West Ham, they've been there and done it. They've been in relegation battles before. They know Nuno certainly knows what he's doing around that area. Spurs, I'm not convinced Spurs are cut out for a relegation battle. These players wouldn't have been in a relegation battle before. The club hasn't really been in a relegation battle since 97, 98 when Klinsmann came back.
Yeah.
And we secured Premier League status with that win over Wimbledon. I think it was away, wasn't it? Klinsmann got 4, didn't he?
6-2,
so that's 6-2, yeah. So it's a long, long time. It's nearly what's that? That's going on for 30 years since we've been in a relegation battle. So it's worrying to that degree, because we shouldn't think that we are too good to go down. Newcastle went down. Everybody said they're too big to go down. Newcastle did, so it can happen, and it would be utterly disastrous for the club. And I think it comes back to that. That's why I think the club have got to make a decision on Frank, because do they risk it? There's no signs that he's turning this around. So what's the obvious choice? You've got to make a change. If there's any danger we could go down, you cannot risk it. And you go on a run, put a few games together, you're out of it and we'll be fine. But are you convinced Thomas Frank can do that for Spurs, especially in February? I'm not saying anybody else could, but I think somebody else might get more out of these players. So they've got decisions to make. I'm amazed that he's still in post. I think under Daniel Levy, he would have been gone in December. I'm just amazed. I get the club want to go about things differently. Admirable that they want to go about things differently and give things time, but you need to see green shoots. You need to see improvements, and we're not seeing it. So don't keep going down this path.
Is that the worrying thing, that Thomas Frank keeps saying positive things, that we are moving in the right direction? Because I know some people might say, it's people's narratives, people like us reading all of these, terrible stats out. There are a couple of positive stats. We've scored more goals from corners, and there are a few other things. But I tell you what, when you look at all of the overall stats, they are terrible. And like you said, we're not moving in the right direction. And for me personally, there are not enough positives to keep saying week by week, month by month, even game by game. So how far does it go? Because the football club clearly want this to work under Thomas Frank. They see him as a long-term appointment. But when you have got your fans chanting the types of things that they did on Saturday, how long does this go on? Because I said, Craig, I think my turning point was really at that Brentford away game of us playing for a 0-0 draw and then being happy with a 0-0 draw away at Brentford. And that is not the Tottenham way. We certainly didn't go for it. And you want to see Tottenham go for it. And I think it's very fair as well for balance. Okay. So I think it's very fair to say that Saturday's performance against Burnley was a lot better than what we have seen in recent weeks. Still not good enough, but it was better than what we have seen in a lot of games this season. And when I say that, I mean about the attacking intent. We had a number of shots on target, a number of shots. And, another problem is the fact that we are reliant so much on the likes of Mickey van der Ven and Romero to get us out of trouble so many times. But defensively, I thought we were really poor against a team that are 19th. And, you're not 19th, because you're a great team, which I know Thomas Frank likes to big up every single opposition and say, these teams are a good team. Well, they're not that good because they're sitting in the relegation zone, same as West Ham last week. But I said the word, walking back to the car after that Brentford game on the 28th of December, I said, it can't go on like this. And I know I had all the memes and everything saying, it can, mucking around. But honestly, I don't feel like I'm even laughing about, these memes saying it can, because it shouldn't be. It can't go on like this. It really can't go on like this. Because like I'll mention it again, those 4 games in Feb, very, very tough games. So if we can't beat the likes of Burnley and West Ham, what chance do we have in these games? And I know some people might say, well, you're being too negative and give Thomas Frank time. I tell you what, if you are one of them fans, please do get in touch, because I'd love to have you on the fan show. We're going to do a fan show tomorrow. So if you are one of those fans that are still with Thomas Frank, we'd love to have you on and talk to you tomorrow. But I am worried, particularly with these fixtures coming up. And as you've mentioned about, we have to see positive signs week by week. And I just don't think we're seeing enough.
No, I agree with everything you said there. And it's all down to that positive signs, isn't it? If we could see a plan, and look, that Romero going up front and trying to rescue us every week, that can't be in the game plan. That's something that Christian Romero probably decides to do himself and thinks, "Sod this, I'm going to try and get us a goal here." So I'm like, that can't be in Frank's game plan. That's like a desperation stakes, isn't it? And like you say, we could have so easily lost that game yesterday. It looked like we were going to, and you're dead right. If we're struggling against West Ham, against Burnley, with all due respect to them, even Brentford are doing actually pretty well, but we're dropping points to Wolves, and yes, there was a bit more attacking intent, but I'm dreading these next 4 Premier League games. People say, we usually do well against City. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that, and stats will tell you that, but at the moment, I think City are good. City have got a boost now because of the results today. Manchester United beating Arsenal, so they're not going to think they're completely out of the title challenge now. So they're going to want to come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and put one over on us. And I think if they go 1-0 up quite early, I think that stadium's going to be not going to be a happy place. So I just still think I can't see any way Thomas Frank turns this around. I really can't. But yeah, like you said, people come on the fan show if you're still in support of him. And I just don't think the excuse we can use now that we can't keep changing managers, I don't think that even that's a valid excuse. I think you need to change a manager now. I don't think they've got a choice. I agree. You can't keep burning through managers every 6-7 months, but come on, this time it hasn't worked. There must come a time when Vinay and the board say to themselves, we give it a shot, but it just doesn't work. We've got to make a change. Because I think it's a dereliction of duty if you don't now. It's shocking. Everybody just feels so down. You want to watch football, whether you go to the games like yourself or if you're watching it on the telly. It's a bit of escapism for everybody. It's something you're supposed to enjoy, isn't it? And it's not even enjoyable to watch us at the moment. It's turgid.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the transfer news. Anything else you got?
No, very, very little today. There was a couple of rumours again talking about Curtis Jones. I think from Team Talk were saying that Spurs were interested in Curtis Jones, and obviously the Robertson one we've covered. But as we said on Friday's show, it'd be interesting that Liverpool sell us 1 player, let alone 2. So I can't see that one happening. But yeah. I'm really sorry for anybody tuning in thinking we're going to bring you any breaking news on a big money signing coming in through the door. There's very little out there, and make of that what you will. Does that speak volumes about, as I say, where the club don't want to spend tons of money because they're not sure about Thomas Frank? Would they want to spend millions and millions on players that were a perfect fit, whatever that is, for Thomas Frank? Possibly. I don't know. But we need players in, definitely, because we're in... I nearly swore we're in trouble at the moment.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. I think everyone knows what you're going to say. Right, Craig, thank you as always. As promised to all of the viewers and listeners, we are here every single day doing these daily Tottenham transfer news shows. We had hoped to bring you a lot more news and rumours and reports, but as Craig said, there's very little out there at the moment. Perhaps things will heat up in the final week of the window. Let's wait and see. But 2 signings in so far. Craig, thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again on Monday. Have a good week. Come on, you Spurs.